Welcome to your yoga practice for grief and loss. This is a heart-centered, gentle flow that will give you the opportunity to welcome healing and ease into the body and mind. Let's begin in child's pose near the back of your mat. Knees hips-width distance apart. Sink your hips back and rest your forehead down, either resting it on the mat or on your stacked hands. And just start to connect with the breath here, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. To add a side bend, sweep your left hand back by your left foot and walk your right hand over off the left side of your mat. Breathing into your right ribs, finding space. Let's come through center and we'll go to the other side. Right hand reaches back by the right foot. Left hand comes over off the right side of your mat. Come back through center and now bring both hands back to reach for your heels. And on your next inhale, lift your hips, coming into your rabbit pose. Rising onto the top of your head, stretching through the upper back. Release your hips down. Bring your hands out in front of you. Inhale, rise to your tabletop pose. Keep your hips over your knees as you walk your hands forward and sink your chest down, coming into your puppy pose. You can rest your forehead down on the mat, or to go deeper, you can lift your gaze and rest your chin down. Press into the forearms to pull your chest through, dropping the hips down and coming into your Sphinx pose. Elongating through the neck, pulling your chest through the arms. Press into the forearms to lift up, find your tabletop pose, and take a few rounds of cat and cow here. Inhaling to drop the belly, exhaling to round, tuck your chin to your chest, flowing back and forth. Inhaling for your cow. Exhale, send your hips all the way back into your child's pose. Inhale back into your tabletop pose, tuck your toes under. Exhale, find your downward facing dog. Walk out the legs, stretch through the shoulders and the hamstrings. Now bend your knees, come back into your tabletop pose. Lengthen your left leg out long. Bend the heel in toward your glute and reach back with your right arm to grab it, just starting with a quad stretch, pulling that left heel in. And now we'll open into our back bend, lifting the right hand and the left foot up toward the sky, arching through the back, gaze is lifted. Carefully release, bring your right hand back down to the mat. Pull that left knee in toward your chest and step the foot to the top of your mat in between your two hands. And on an inhale, rise, coming into your low lunge. Reaching your arms high overhead. Now sweep both arms behind you and clasp your hands together to add a chest expansion. Sinking into that right hip, opening through the front of the chest and the shoulders. Now lengthen through the left leg, flexing through the foot. You can stay lifted, slight arch in the pelvis, opening through the chest. Or if your balance allows, fold forward with the torso, reaching your clasped hands up toward the sky. Now release the clasp of your hands, bring your palms down to frame the left leg, and fold deeper into your half splits pose. Now bend into the left knee, heel toe your left foot out toward the edge of your mat and sink your hips down, coming into your lizard pose. So allow that knee to fall away from you, coming onto the edge of your foot. Adding in some movement in the upper body here on an inhale, peel that left arm open toward the back of your mat. Exhale, circle it around. Inhale to open. Exhale, circle forward once more. Good. Now heel toe your left foot over to the right side of your mat and find your pigeon pose. Right leg is out long, and you can walk your hands forward, coming down any amount, maybe to the forearms, or maybe bringing your forehead all the way down to the mat. Use your hands to press your way up. Roll over onto your left hip to swing that right foot around. And we'll come into shoelace pose with your left leg on top, so stack your knees on top of one another. Both hip bones grounded down evenly. And staying lifted here, we'll start by adding eagle arms. Left elbow on top of right, intertwining the arms at the elbows and maybe the wrists, pulling the forearms away from your face, feeling that stretch in the upper back. Maybe stay here if this is enough, or you can round deeper through the upper back, bringing the tops of your elbows to the top of your knee. Let's release the arms. Take an inhale to find length in the spine, and then exhale, release deeper down into your shoelace pose. Gently press your way up. Unwind the legs and send those right toes back to the back of your mat. Step the left toes to the back to meet them and come back into your downward facing dog. On an inhale, come forward into your cow pose. Exhale, round into child's pose. Inhale, come back up into your tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now drop your knees, come back into your tabletop pose. We'll go to the other side. So first, lifting that right leg, bending the heel in toward the glute, and using your right hand to pull it in, starting out with that quad stretch. Now lift and open into your back bend, left hand and right foot reaching up toward the sky. Release your left hand back down to the mat. Right knee comes in toward your chest and plant the right foot in between your two hands as you rise, coming into your low lunge. Now sweep both hands behind your back to take your chest expansion, pulling your clasped hands away from you. And we'll lengthen through the right leg, toes flex back towards the face, maybe staying here, or if your balance allows, folding the torso forward and reaching your clasped hands up toward the sky. Release the clasp of your hands, palms come down to frame that right leg, and you can release deeper into your half splits pose. Bend into the right leg, heel toe the foot out toward the edge of your mat and come into your lizard pose, sinking the hips down. And then on an inhale, we'll add those arm circles, reaching the right arm back toward the mat. Exhale, circling it around. Inhale to reach. Exhale to circle. One more. Come back into your lizard pose, both palms down, and then heel toe the right foot over to the left edge of the mat, finding your pigeon pose. Walking the hands forward, maybe coming down to your forearms, or bringing your forehead all the way down to your mat. Use your hands to press your way up. Roll onto that right hip to swing the left foot around and come into your shoelace pose with the right knee on top this time. Hips grounding down. And we'll find our eagle arms on the other side. So right elbow on top of left. Round through the upper back, sending your forearms away from you. Maybe releasing down even more, bringing your elbows to rest on the top of your knee. Now let's release the bind with the arms. Take an inhale to find length, and exhale, you can fold deeper into your shoelace pose. Rise back up, unwind the legs, roll onto your right hip to swing the left toes to the back of your mat. Right foot steps back to meet it for your downward facing dog. Inhale, drop your knees, come forward into your cow pose. Exhale, round back into your child's pose. Inhale into your neutral tabletop. Exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Now take as many steps as you'd like to, walking to the top of your mat, coming into your forward fold. Just release the upper body here. You can bend one knee and then the other. Maybe shake the head to release any tension in the neck. Sway from one side to the other. And then bend your knees, come down to take a seat on your mat, and roll all the way down to your back. Knees are bent, soles of the feet planted on the mat. We're setting up for bridge pose. On an inhale, lift your hips toward the sky. Maybe clasping your hands together, pressing them into the mat as you open through the shoulders. Release your hands if they were clasped and slowly roll your hips back down to the mat. Hug your knees into your chest. Gently rock from side to side just for a breath or two. Now release your knees and send both feet up toward the sky, coming into your waterfall pose. Allowing your legs to be weightless here. This very gentle inversion. You can point or flex the feet, maybe take ankle circles, whatever feels good. And you can stay here in waterfall pose, or if shoulder stand is in your practice, lift your hips, hands coming to your low back, toes reaching toward the sky. Option to stay here, or for our final variation, you can come into your plow pose, reaching the toes over your head to land on the mat, and releasing the hands down toward the ground. Wherever you are, just take a few breaths here, feeling the benefits of the pose that's right for you today. And now we'll start to come out. So if you're in plow pose, bring your hands to your low back, come back to your shoulder stand. From shoulder stand, roll your hips back down to the mat, coming into your waterfall pose. And then hug your knees into your chest for another breath or two, just rocking side to side and massaging the low back. Now you can reach both legs out long, coming into your Shavasana. Palms face up toward the sky. Press into the back of your head to lift the chest a little and roll the shoulders open. And then just find softness, feeling supported here on your mat. Noticing the gentle rise and fall in the belly and the chest as the breath moves in and out. You are welcome to rest here as long as you need to. If you're ready to come out now, start to bring movement back into your fingers and toes. Bend the knees in, roll over to fetal pose, and gently make your way up to a comfortable seated position. Lengthen through the spine, place both hands on top of your heart. Inhale, deep breath in, feeling your hands rise. Exhale, let it go. Once more, breathing into the belly, breathing into the hands. Exhale, release. Let's take one more inhale this time. Arms circle and reach high overhead. Exhale, hands come to prayer at heart center. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat today. I'm sending you lots of love and healing as you return to your day. Namaste.